Hello, 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 everyone. As promised, I promised you all a live video today on crystal healing. So I am just going to right now, before we even get started, make sure that there is indeed sound. And right now, as you can see, I have a little sign up there. So I am just going to right now. And we are cleared with sound. Okay. So I'm just going to give everyone a few minutes to kind of pop in. And I know it's a work day, so probably not as many people are going to be able to pop in, which is fine. I will do a live feed one weekend, so that way more people can kind of pop in and get to say hi and talk, all that good stuff. Alrighty, so before we begin, I just wanted to go over a few things for those of you who have joined me for my 7-day meditation series. Thank you very much. I had lots of fun doing that meditation series. If you want to dive deeper into your meditative journey with me, I am happy to guide you. I do offer online meditation, guided meditations, private ones, where you can use either FaceTime or we can use the Messenger call platform. And you can subscribe to that. I charge $10 for 30 minutes and then $20 for an hour. I also have meditations for children, meditation for the whole family. So you can have the whole family come in, sit down, do the meditation together as a family. You could do it by yourself. And depending on what type of things you would like to work on, before the meditation even starts, we'll go over a couple of key goals that you might have during that meditation that you'd like to work on. So if there's a specific problem like anxiety or depression or any of those things, we'll target specific chakras that are going to help realign and get you out of that funk. And again, you can see that on my website at helpinghealyou.com. Or you could just book an appointment here on Facebook. There's a little link that says book now. You can book online for that as well. Some of the other services like the Reiki Pets, those kinds of things, those are going to need to be more in person, along with the chakra balancing that needs to kind of be in person. So if you live in the Henderson or Las Vegas area, for now, I am moving. If you live in that area, then I can definitely work with you. But if you live somewhere else, because I know we're all kind of all over the place, if you do happen to live somewhere else, I can do an online thing for you. So now that we've gone over that, at the close of our 7-day meditation series, and if you haven't seen that, feel free to look back. The live videos are all available for you to look at for as long as you'd like. You can also, I made a blog post about meditation, so if you want to kind of learn a little bit about it, kind of get to know what meditation is, that can be found at helpinghealyou.com/blog. Again, that's helpinghealyou.com/blog. Another great post on there is also going to be my blog post about my Tibetan Tektite travels, which I actually have in my pocket right now. He kind of lives with me now. We have a kind of a special bond now that I did my 4-day meditation series, which we're going to go into in a little while. I'm just giving everyone a few minutes to kind of get situated and make sure they're here, present, listening. So for today, we are going to just kind of go over a little bit of basics, because some of you probably don't know much about stones or how to use them or how to incorporate them, and maybe you want to learn. So we're just going to kind of go over the very basics of crystal healing. So let's start by first going over the definitions and the differences between crystals and stones and those kinds of things. So in the metaphysical world, the term crystal or stone are kind of interchangeable. They use them both. There is no necessarily difference in the metaphysical world. However, if you go into the scientific world and you talk to geologists, who are starting to kind of make it interchangeable, but they strictly go by the definition of what a crystal and a stone is. So the difference between a crystal and a stone is that a crystal has a very specific geometric pattern that it is in perfect alignment. It has a very crystalline structure, whereas a stone does not. It has very erratic structure. Water is a great example of a crystalline structure. It's very uniform. It has a specific structure to it. And one scientist, we're going to spread off just a hair for a second. One scientist, Dr. Emoto, he has been doing studies on water, and he has found that your thoughts and words actually can transform the molecular structure of water. So we're going to go over there and I'm going to show you that. So researcher Masaru Emoto experimented with water by exposing it to music, words spoken, words typed, pictures, and videos, and then he flash froze these molecules, and he was able to actually capture and observe under a dark field microscope that the information looks what it looks like in terms of wavelength. So here you can see that when the word thank you was emitted, you get the image right there on the top left. Wisdom, again, truth, eternal, angel, I love you, peace, all very positive words. Now, let's look at what happens when these words are negative. So you have you fool, you have you make me sick, evil, and then you have polluted water before prayer. Now, prayer can be from a priest or from a Reiki practitioner. So when the water was then treated by either a monk or a priest or a Reiki practitioner, you then get the polluted water that's on your bottom screen there turned into, after prayer, look at how beautiful that structure now is. So that just shows the healing power of water and just being able to transform and what your words really can do. So be extra cautious about your words because they don't only have an effect on the mind, they also can affect molecular structures that are crystalline. I love them too, Crystal. His work has been amazing. It's been such an amazing inspiration. I can't wait to see what else Dr. Emoto is able to decipher from this work. I hope that people continue this work and get to really understand what power our words actually have. So moving on, now that we kind of went off on a tangent there about Dr. Emoto, I could go on for hours about his research. It's just so amazing. I highly recommend looking it up and getting to know what he is doing, because he is going to be a great asset to really being able to bring out what is going on with our words, how powerful and how strong they truly are. Okay, so let's start by going over first some different structures of stones and their properties that they emit. So, of course, your first is going to be your natural or your raw version. Here I have a raw version of rose quartz. Yeah, Crystal, these have been amazing. I love Dr. Emoto's research. I can't wait to see what else he's able to come out with. So this is natural or raw rose quartz, and it's going to give you the optimal energy of that stone because it's been unfiltered, it's been unchanged. This is how it naturally grew. I have another one here, which is one of my favorite stones. This is a natural fluorite specimen, rainbow, obviously, because it's just so beautiful. I just love how this stone grows, and this is its natural form. So it's been untreated. It hasn't gone on to be tumbled or heated or anything like that. This is its natural form. So this is going to give you the greatest amount of energy and the greatest amount of help to your body. Thank you, Crystal. I can't wait to continue talking about all this stuff. It just makes me so excited. I can't wait to share all the knowledge that I have about all the different stones and what I've been learning through my different courses that I've taken. Okay, so next we have clusters. This is one of my favorite stones to meditate with. This is my celestite. He helps me so much with being able to connect to my spirit guides and higher realms and really get to feel that deeper meditation, that higher connection, know that there is that higher realm and there are those spirit guides who are there to help me and guide me. And my guardian angels, they're always with me. This stone really helps me connect to them and speak with them. But this is a cluster, and it's actually a group of crystals. So you have obviously your outside here, okay, and then inside you have your clusters, right? And these are great to have. This is a really big version. I have a smaller version of him. I like to stick on my third eye because it really helps. But this big guy, I wouldn't stick him on your eye. You can stick him above your crown, right behind your head. Great purpose for him, but don't stick him on your body. He's way too heavy. All right, next we have spheres. I only have a little one here right now, and this again is rose quartz. I am honestly not the hugest fan of spheres, so I don't have that many just because it's a personal preference. But by all means, if you're drawn to spheres, get them. There's no right or wrong way to play with stones. They have endless amounts of resources. Okay, so this is going to, because of its even and circular motion, it's going to distribute its energy all around. So it has a circumference around the stone where it's going to be giving off this energy, which is great because if you don't want to necessarily direct your energy in one way or the other, and you just want to have it kind of emitting all around, this is a great shape for that. Obviously, tumbled, you can't have a natural sphere stone. Unfortunately, crystals, they don't really grow like that. And it wouldn't be this perfect of a round shape. So obviously this has been man-made. It may have grown in nature, but it had to be tumbled to be put into this shape. Next, we have crystal points. And this is a little bit of a lengthy topic here. So here I have a natural crystal point. This is a zestulite. This is actually a newer stone which came back. There's a lot of talk about this stone. I highly recommend that you look up this in the Book of Stones. Hi Gladys, so glad you could join me. And I have done lots of meditating with this guy in particular. I really love meditating with him. He's another one who gets you to connect to other realms, gets you to really see that spirit realm and get to connect with the Azez. Anyway, this is a crystal point. It's natural, so this is how it grew. It kind of grew like that. And you can kind of tell because it starts, you can't really see it so well on the camera, but there are some phantoms in there, and it's really clear at the top and kind of cloudy down at the bottom. So that's how you can tell that it's a natural point, which means that it's a natural generator. Okay, so there's a lot of oh, I'm glad you could join me from the Philippines. Hi, Jessica. It says, I was encouraged to get stibite. Any information on this? So one thing about information on stones that there is a book called The Book of Stones. And I highly recommend that one, Jessica, just because he is very on point about the different properties of the stones. But the one thing that I do recommend you do, if you really want to get to know what the stone can do for you, is take 4 days. Remove any other stones, because as you can see, I wear a lot of stones all the time. And I would meditate with that specific stone for 4 days. Okay, so no other stones on you. Put it in your pillowcase at night, meditate with it, have it in your pocket during the day if it's a tumble, or if you have that ability to do so. If it's a larger stone, obviously, not really going to be able to put it in your pocket. And then journal. Journal your meditation, journal the thoughts you have, journal the feelings you have for those 4 days. And at the end of those 4 days, look through your journal and you'll see a pattern. and you'll really get to know what properties that stone has to give you. If you want, you can read about my Tibetan Tektite journey. I did a 4-day meditation with him. It was so informative. I got to figure out what he offered me personally, just because the Book of Stones works for about 80% of people. Okay, so there are about 20% of you who it's not going to really fit well with. So the greatest thing you can do is definitely meditate with these stones. Get to know what properties it's going to give for you, because they're going to give different things for different people. Hold on one second. Hi, Denise. So glad you could join me. I am very excited to talk about stones. It's a topic I'm very passionate about. I was the little nerd girl who had a rock tumbler and a big bag of stones when I was a little kid, and then I forgot about them for a little while, I guess, and I'm back. I remember about stones again. All right, so Gladys wants to know what stone is best for me to keep me grounded and protect myself from all negative energy. Ooh, great question. Okay, so I love the grounding topic. Okay, so first of all, I have this bracelet here, Gladys, which actually is perfect for grounding and protection. So what's on it is it has hematite, it has black obsidian, and tiger's eye. Okay, so your grounding stones are going to be like this guy here, black tourmaline. A lot of your black stones are for grounding. Your root chakra stones, your red stones, also really great for grounding. So any stones that have those properties in them are going to be great. So for your root, you really want to work on that root chakra. Definitely work in your red jasper, your black tourmaline, your hematite, your onyx, your black obsidian. Those are all going to provide protection for you. All right, let's see. I'm trying to keep up on the comments here while I'm talking too. Yes, Crystal, agree. Obsidian and tiger's eye are my favorite. And if you throw in, I actually have a hematite mala necklace in my car that I infused with healing and safety Reiki energy, and I keep that in my car, and that just keeps me and my family safe when we're driving around in the car. So definitely any kind of root stones are going to be amazing for this. Look for your black and red stones if you don't really know what stones are for your root chakra. Black and red, always great to go with. Okay, so now we are going to, let's see, Jessica says, my kids love crystals and stones, always have. Any recommendation for kiddos? Actually, my kids, I let them pick their own stones. I made the mistake of saying you could go to the crystal shop with me and pick any stone, and that was quite an expensive experience. Don't think I'll do that again. So kids and stones, there really isn't a wrong stone. Let them use their intuition. Guide them and let them pick what stone they feel they need. Kids are so intuitive, and they are more intuitive than we are because they haven't had that idealism of no intuition, that's a magical power, you don't really into it. It hasn't been ingrained in them yet. So they still are open to the concept of guiding their intuition. So I encourage you to just take your kids and let them pick what stones resonate with them. So what I did, and for all of my clients here, I have necklaces, and there's all different kinds of stones on them, and I give them out with any of my healing sessions that I do. And my kids, I let them pick their stones as well. So they just picked what ones they wanted, and they love to meditate with them. They're starting to be able to feel the energy. And it's just amazing to teach our kids this gift, because if they grow up with it, they're going to be able to be so much more knowledgeable when they reach our age. Yes, my kids teach me every day too. My 9-year-old actually read the Book of Stones from beginning to end. I haven't even done that. I just use the Book of Stones as like an encyclopedia, basically. But he's read it from beginning to end. Let's see. Denise wants to know crystals for memory and focus. Oh, selenite tower. That's so sweet, Crystal. I love it. My 9-year-old has a selenite stick that he got, and he loves that thing. He takes it everywhere with him. Crystals for memory and focus. Okay, so memory and focus is going to be your upper chakras, obviously, and one of the great ones that I like is lapis. I am obsessed with lapis. It's like one of my absolute favorite stones. I love to meditate with it. It's gotten rid of headaches for me. And it's going to increase your memory and your focus. So any of those stones, amethyst is another one that's going to help with focus and being able to really hone in. And honestly, I have found, for me personally, now it might be different for everyone, again, because different stones give different properties, but I have noticed that labradorite, actually, I keep it on my desk just because it really focuses me and allows me to be able to do the tasks that I need to get done. Yes, apophyllite. Oh, I am obsessed with apophyllite. I have a handful of stones that are my specific favorites, and apophyllite is definitely one of them. Let me just read what Jessica wrote here. All right, so Jessica, yes, I love that my kids are into it. Yes, I agree with what Crystal said. Definitely use stones that are for your crown and third eye chakras, and your higher chakras as well. So your 8 through 14 chakras, which we haven't really discussed so much in this place right now, but I will get into those later. I just don't want to overwhelm everyone with so much information because it can be overwhelming. But any of the stones that are for your higher chakras, your third eye, your crown, and all of your etheric chakras, those are all going to be amazing for memory and focus because they're going to hone in on your highest self. They're going to hone in on your mental capacity. Tibetan Tektite has really helped me with my cognitive functioning. I noticed that when I have it on me, which is why I have it on me right now, I have more clear perceptions. I have better understanding of what I want to relay to the world. Amethyst is my life. Yes, I agree, Crystal. Amethyst, another one of my particular favorites. I have loved amethyst since I was a little girl. It's always been my favorite. It's always been one of the stones that I love to work with. I have it on my night table, actually. I don't sleep with it because I worry about ruining it because I'm crazy with my amethyst. If my amethyst were to ever fall apart, I'd probably cry. Hi, Chris. So glad you could join us. So yeah, anyway, any of the higher realm things any of your higher chakras are going to be great for memory and focus. Okay, so hi, Jessica Ward. Great, you could join us. So let's move on and talk about another shape real quick. Oh my God, yes, Crystal. I had a lab break in half yesterday, and oh my God, I think my heart probably broke along with that stone. It was so sad. But they say that, those kinds of things are signs that the stone has done its purpose. It has helped you and get to where you needed to get. So all you have to do is just say, you know what, it served its purpose, it gave me the guidance it needed to, and it's done now. But even if it breaks, it's still usually pretty good. I still keep it anyway. But this lab actually broke in half, and a piece of it flew. I was in a public bathroom. A piece of it flew across the floor and just disappeared. I could not find it. So I'm guessing that what piece was missing hopefully went to whoever it needed to go to. So somebody has half of my labradorite. Yes, exactly. Too much energy. Hi, Desiree. Okay, so next we're going to talk about double terminated crystal points. There are naturally occurring double terminated crystal points. The one that I have here, I use this one for activating my crystal grids. You can see one back there. So this one is obviously not naturally occurring. It was made, but it was made by a bunch of Tibetan monks, and there is actually a little phantom you can kind of see right there. And its precision is just incredible. So I use this one for definitely activating my crystal grids, and stuff like that. So the energy from these, Yes, it is the autumn equinox today, Chris. Such a great day. And our full harvest moon is coming up on Sunday. So if you have some stones, you should charge them up that day. Super, super fun. Okay, so the double terminated, the energy is going to come out of both sides evenly. Okay, so it's, instead of just having your single point coming out of the top, you're now having the energy coming from both sides. So that is something to know about your double terminated. And then your single terminated, here I have a quartz cluster, and it has a bunch of terminated points. So this one kind of not the greatest example of a single terminated crystal point, because it has them coming out of all over the place. So my energy is still kind of going everywhere. This guy is definitely a single terminated, so his energy is going to come out most heavily at the apex, which is right at the tip there of your stone. Let's see, Crystal says, let's not forget Mercury going into Libra and the sun joining tomorrow. Yes, I am a fellow Libra, so I am very excited about that. Go Libra power here. Libra is actually one of the cardinal signs, which when I was growing up, I was pretty sure I wasn't a cardinal sign, but apparently we are a cardinal sign. Okay, so now we have our tumbled stones, which obviously I'm pretty sure most people know what a tumbled stone is. Those are just going to be, oh, you're a Libra rising. That's so great, Crystal. Here is a tumbled version. These are going to be your smooth ones. These are great for mojo bags. So if you want to have some healing along with you at all day long, they're also great for putting in beads and stuff like that. So if you want to carry these along in your pocket for you to have that energy of that stone, that vibration constantly with you all day long, your tumbleds are going to be your best option. They're going to prevent your raw and your clusters and all of those from breaking down in your pocket, because the friction from walking and everything is going to cause those stones to slowly break down. What are clusters useful for? I have many. Okay, so clusters are great for like this guy right here. And then this guy is another cluster. These are great for bringing peace and harmony to your life, actually. And they're great for cooperation and protection, depending on A, obviously, the property of that specific stone, and B, the type of cluster that it is. So I love to use my clusters for specifically peace and harmony. So I have a lot of clusters in my sacred space, which I can go into a whole offshoot on sacred spaces. But definitely I love to have clusters in my sacred space. They're just gorgeous to look at. I mean, I think that's what really brings the most of the peace and harmony, is that they're just so beautiful and relaxing to look at. They shimmer in the sunlight, and they're just great stones. So yeah, definitely for harmony and peace. And then they also bring cooperative aspects and protection if you're using certain types of clusters. My apopholites, I love my apopholite clusters. They are so amazing. They've showed me other realms. They've shown me other lives. It's been quite an amazing journey with my clusters. And actually, in one of the classes that I'm taking, she has an amethyst cluster ring. Oh my God, I'm so in love with her ring. It is gorgeous. So yeah, definitely if you need more harmony and peace and zen in your life, clusters are the way to go. Next we have crystal pyramids, like this guy right here. This is shungite. And crystal pyramids are obviously shaped like this. There's very few natural crystal pyramids. There are some, but there are very few, and they're not this perfect. When it has perfect sides like this, and it's perfectly shaped, perfectly rounded, perfect apex at the top, that's obviously going to be a tumbled version. And they help with protection, grounding, and manifesting your desires. And if you're sick, which this one I used, I was having some kidney problems a couple months ago. So I used this guy on the front of my stomach. I just kind of laid down, placed him right on my sacral chakra, and allowed the tip pointing outwards. That way it was taking that negative energy and pushing it out of my body. So that's what these different types of, now this is an orgone, so this has a bunch of different stones in it. This one's great for meditating. Obviously it has all the chakra stones. So if I'm doing a chakra balancing on somebody, I'll probably put this somewhere in their space, so it's giving them that energy. And depending on if I want to bring energy in or out, depends on where I point the little point at. Alrighty. So, is there anything? Oh, thank you. I love that orgone. I can't even remember. I think I got it online somewhere, probably from Mindful Souls. I love that place. So yeah, I love this guy. He is so great. I love using him for meditation. Okay, so let's now just real quick go over a couple things about like cleaning and clearing, because there's a lot of talk online about cleaning and clearing and programming and all that stuff about your stones. So first of all, I don't necessarily, it doesn't resonate with me that I have to clean my stones every day. That just doesn't seem logical. Your stones have a natural DOR, a dominant oscillatory rate. And this rate, stones and crystals are naturally not able to jar from that rate easily. Whereas we, as humans, we are very easily jarred. We are prone to chaos. And that's just from our structure. We are structured to be able to be jarred and succumb to that kind of chaos. That's why these stones are so amazing to add into your life, because they help rebalance your DOR and keep it aligned to where it should be. So let's see, Crystal says, I do it as needed, but always make sure I catch the new moon and full moon energy. Yes, definitely harnessing the moon's energy is the number one way to recharge your stones. Or at least for me, I love recharging them in the full moon. Come tomorrow, I'm going to be very busy making sure that I gather all of my 600,000 stones, because once you start buying them, it turns into an obsession really fast. Okay, so first, let's talk about how to clean them. So you can use sage, very easy. You're just gonna burn the end and just allow the stone, just take the stone and just put it right in the smoke, allow the smoke to cover the entire stone. Great, easy way. It is a little smelly, and make sure you open your windows, because I was smudging my house the one day. I was still kind of new to smudging, and I accidentally forgot to open my windows. So I smudged my whole house, got the whole house beautifully smudged, and then my kids are coming to me the next day going, Mom, I'm having horrible nightmares, and everyone was fighting. It was pure chaos in the house. And I was like, what is going on? I just smudged this house. Realized I didn't close the windows. So the energy that I had gathered didn't have anywhere to go. It just stayed in the house. So I had created more stagnant energy than helping it. So make sure you open up a window or do it outside. If you have a balcony or something like that, that's a great place to do it. My sacred room, which is where I do all my live settings, actually has a door just to go right outside. So if I am doing any kind of smudging, I always open my slider and make sure that I'm letting that energy out of the house, because if you're smudging and you're just leaving it in the house, it's not good. Yeah, it was an interesting learning experience. Everyone has them. That one was one of them. And yeah, so now I know to always make sure I have my windows open. And if you don't like the smell of sage, because sage is a very, very strong scent, you can use Palo Santo sticks. Obviously, I use both. It depends. If I am doing Reiki or crystal healing or anything on a client, I always go with Palo Santo because its smell is just a little easier to handle. And some people are very sensitive to the smell of sage. So it's always just, I prefer to use Palo on other people, but if I'm doing my house or cleaning my actual stones, I'm probably going to use sage. I just prefer sage over the Palo Santo, but it's all kind of just personal preference. You can also use Nag Champa, which is great because it makes your house smell good. and then you're also cleaning your stones at the same time. This is all kind of just intuitive based. So you really have to be able to use your intuition here and let your mind and your body and your higher self guide you in this journey, because it already knows what to do. We've just forgotten over the years. Kisla says, I love Palo Santo. This is my personal favorite. I also use sage spray because it smells better. Yes, the sage spray is much better than the actual stick. The stick, I feel like sage sometimes sticks in my house for a couple days. So people come over and they're probably like, oh, why does her house smell funky? These hippies, I swear, their houses always smell weird. All right, so that is those. So you can use those to clean your stones. Now for programming your stones. Obviously, we've already discussed using the moon. So there is a full moon coming up on Sunday. So if you need to charge some stones, now's a good time. Put them out in the moonlight. They don't even have to be outside. If you're in a location that maybe you can't put them outside, and be careful with putting them outside if it's going to rain. Some stones are not good with rain or water. So, and that's another way you can clean them is with water. I don't prefer that because I don't feel like looking up whether it has a Mohs hardness level of 6 or higher. I just want to clean them and be done with it. Smudging can have an effect on people with respiratory issues. Yes, it can. The smoke can. That's why I like to use Palo Santo on clients, because it's much easier and more gentle than the sage. So you can use water also to clean them. That's not something that I ever do. It's easier to not do it because you can really mess up some stones that are softer, like selenite, for example. Selenite is super, super soft. If you stick this in water, it's going to dissolve. So definitely don't stick stones just randomly in water. So anyway, the full moon, good for charging your stones. If you're in an area that rains a lot, I would recommend just a windowsill. Just stick them on the windowsill, line them up. Even if your whole house, every windowsill in your house is covered in stones, who cares? It's your house. Let it be covered in stones. If they are outside and you're in an area, like I live in the desert right now, so it doesn't rain very often. If it does rain, it's a miracle. So I don't have to necessarily worry about it raining so much. So what I like to do is I actually stick them outside in the dirt in my backyard, because the ground it's going to absorb those ions, the negative ions actually, which sounds like not a good thing, but no, negative ions are actually positive for you. So it's going to grab those negative ions from the earth, and the stone is going to absorb them, which is going to assist in getting your stones back to their natural DOR. And each stone has a different DOR. So, and again, it's very hard to jar these guys from them. They are very resilient and very not prone to succumbing to chaos. So definitely full moon once a month is a great time. If you don't catch the full moon, don't worry about it. Another great way to charge them that's super, super easy, and if you miss the full moon or something, tuning forks. Easy, simple, just tap your tuning fork and just run them along your stones. And it doesn't have to be any specific frequency, so you don't have to run out and try and get, oh, this stone works at this frequency and that stone works at that frequency. No. Just as long as it's loud and clear and those stones can hear it, the vibration alone will jar it enough to get it running back into its natural DOR. So you don't have to worry about what is the frequency of this tuning fork. Let's see. Okay, just making sure I didn't miss anything in the comments here. So yeah, tuning forks are great. And then music. So if you have a sound system, music is another great way to retune your stones. So for example, when I was making my crystal grid yesterday, while I was making my grid, I made sure that I played some crystal healing bowls. Now, my crystal grid was specifically for emotional strength and emotional healing. So because of that, I played crystal healing bowl sounds from my speakers. So that way I didn't have to try and play crystal bowls while I'm also trying to set up a grid. That is pretty much impossible. You can't be in 5 places at once. So you just have that nice and loud. And while I was setting up my crystal grid, I was also tuning and charging these stones and keeping myself centered and grounded as well. Let's see. Chris says you can also cleanse and charge stones via prayer, infusing them with the unconditional light and love. Yes. I am a Reiki practitioner, so I love to cleanse and clean my stones just with healing energy and visualization. You can visualize your stone, just place it in your hand. Obviously, azeztulite is a self-cleaning stone, but I am always drawn to grabbing him. He's my favorite, or one of them, one of my 500 favorites. And you can just grab it in your hand and picture that healing white light energy just coming in and engulfing your entire stone, allowing it to resonate properly with your energy. I do a mixture of that, Chris Hoyle. I always talk to them before I use them. Yes, yes. I am not the biggest, honestly, on programming my stones unless I'm using them in a grid. If I'm using them in the grid, then I tend to definitely program them. But if I'm just putting them in my pocket or making a mojo bag or meditating with them, I kind of let them tell me what it's going to do for me. I don't really want to program it so much. So the programming thing, I don't really follow all that often unless I'm doing a grid. And then even then, I am just giving affirmations that I feel are going to help with whatever I want that grid to do, to kind of let the stones know, okay, I want you to really focus on these attributes. Now, obviously, a stone can't really do much if the attributes don't match what that stone has to offer. So you can't tell a celestite to ground you. That's not going to happen. That's not the property of that stone. And the best way you can look up these properties if you don't know them is to either go by the color and associate them with your chakra, or look them up in the Book of Stones. The Book of Stones, again, I keep mentioning it, is an amazing encyclopedia. It has so much information. Let's see, Crystal says, I let them do what they need to before using them. I set my intention and see which ones I am drawn to. Yes. Yep, that's what I do too. I just use my intuition most of the time. And believe it or not, your intuition is pretty on spot. That crystal grid behind me, I did completely on intuition. And then I picked the stones, gathered my supplies, picked the geometric, sacred geometry symbol that I wanted to use. And then afterwards, I kind of looked up everything to see if these stones were, if I was just creating chaos or if I was creating something magical. And sure enough, it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed. It was the stones that I needed. So always, always, always trust your intuition. There is no better way to pick. Now, if you don't trust your intuition, because some of us are kind of maybe new to intuition and being able to trust it, you can use different methods. So first, we're going to talk about pendulums. I love using my pendulums. This one is a Unakite pendulum. And then if you don't really know necessarily the properties of the stones, you can just get a basic quartz one. Quartz is going to work for everything. It amplifies energy. So if you're in a bad mood, don't play with quartz. Not a good idea. It's going to definitely not work for you. Definitely recommend a different stone. But if you're looking for answers, quartz is a great stone for that. And all you're going to do is you're just going to hold it above your hand. Now, there are some people who prefer one hand over the other, some people who do one thing over the other. Again, use your intuition. If it doesn't feel right for you, switch hands. There's no right or wrong here. I love pendulums, but I always break them within the first week. Really? I haven't had that happen. I have had one pendulum where it was built incorrectly, but I just took it as that stone didn't want to be a pendulum. It wanted to just wanted to be a tower. But I haven't had any break yet. I'm going to be very upset and sad if mine breaks. I'm very attached to particularly my quartz one. He has helped me through some stuff. So I love this one. So you're just going to take it. Always ask it first. You're going to take some deep breaths. Make sure it's hanging nice. Now ask it, is my name Lexi? Now mine works pretty fast because me and him have spent some time together, so yours might not respond as quickly, especially if you're new to it. And for me, a clockwise, and I'm not holding it properly here, so it's going a little slow. A clockwise answer for me is a yes. Counterclockwise is a no. It might work differently for you. Most people, that's how it is, but some people have noticed that it's not. Now, it'll spin a lot better if I was holding it properly and I wasn't talking and all this stuff. I was actually focusing. Now, if you ask it a no question now. So, is my name Jeff? Just give it a minute to respond. It will respond. Patience is a virtue here. Now it's going in a counterclockwise motion. So no, my name is not Jeff, obviously. So that's what you do. And if you if your pendulum stops or slows down or any of that, that means that it doesn't understand the question or it doesn't have an answer right now for you, or maybe you just need to reword it. That's all. And you can use these pendulums. I have used them in crystal shops once or twice when I was feeling like my intuition wasn't really guiding me well enough. When I was first starting out, I haven't really done that anymore, but you can take these into the crystal shop, and believe me, they've seen it 1,000 times. They're not going to look at you weird. Take the stone in your hand, breathe in nice and slow, concentrate, and ask, do I need this stone? Very simple. Another simple way, if you're not comfortable with being the weirdo in the crystal shop with the pendulum, you can lock your hands together, okay? And then this is kinesiology, and they should be nice and locked, and ask, do I need this stone? And if your fingers don't pull apart, that means that you do need it. If they pull apart nice and easily, you don't need it. Again, check that you're centered, that you're grounded before you do this. And you do this the same way you do with a pendulum. Ask your name. Is my name blah, blah, blah. If you get the correct answer, you're doing good. You're grounded, you're centered, you're breathing properly. Okay, yes, so I use them as stones now. Yep, that's what I do. That one stone, it was a citrine, actually, pendulum, and I got it, and it wasn't working. So it's actually my husband's, so we just use it as a tower now. It's fine. So now, let's see, what else should we cover? Is there any other questions about different types of stones or anything like that before we move on? Because I don't want to overwhelm you guys. Oh, you can also use pendulum chart. Here I have one printed out. These are also great for pairing with your pendulum if you want a more precise answer. Okay, so this one will actually spin to tell you like no, yes, rephrase the question, maybe. Maybes usually mean that there isn't really an answer yet. And you could probably ask the question a little later, but it's not guaranteed that it's going to spit back anything else. Are raw stones better? Well, it's kind of personal preference. Raw stones obviously are going to have a better vibrational rate because they have been unaltered. I generally prefer to work with raw stones as opposed to tumbled. But again, I'll show you one second. I have a chakra set here, which I love using on clients and stuff like that, that has 3 different options actually. So it has the raw version, it has the tumbled version, raw version here, tumbled version here, and then it has the chakra symbol on a palm stone. So it kind of depends on what you want to use the stone for as to whether or not raw is better. But going with your intuition, I definitely prefer raw as opposed to anything else. And when it comes to points, anything that has a point to it, a lot of natural generators, they say are natural generators, like this guy here, he was advertised online as a generator. Now, obviously, he's a lab. He was obviously man-made. He is perfectly point. There's no defects or anything. A natural stone isn't going to have that. And because of that, this isn't technically a generator. Okay, a natural point is the only ones that are going to be natural generators. So these guys are natural generators. Okay, and they're also record keepers. Specifically, this guy. Oh, where did you pick that set up? I actually, believe it or not, got this set on Amazon. I was super shocked when I found it, so this was super exciting. So I love using this set because it has the 3 different options for me. So, but yeah, I always prefer raw stones over tumbled. But tumbled does have its uses. Like I said, if you need to carry it in your pocket, or you are making a mojo bag, or you need a worry stone. These flat ones like this are great worry stones. They're great to keep in your palm. Even just holding it right now, I instantly feel more serene. You're welcome, Crystal. And again, it's kind of personal preference. What do you use for cutting cords in Reiki? Well, first, in Reiki, there is a grounding symbol that Reiku, that you can use to cut the cord between you and that person. But I also have, let me see if I have it here. Its cord actually just broke on me. I was so upset. I have a labradorite necklace because labradorite is great for keeping you separate from the other person when you're performing Reiki. And actually making sure that you are centered and grounded is the best way to make sure that you're not giving that other person, when performing Reiki, your energy, because that is possible. So if you're having issues with your energy and you're really tired after performing a Reiki session, that means that you're actually giving them your energy and not using the universal energy. So I would definitely recommend some grounding stones for that, for cutting cords and those kinds of things. I always wear a labradorite stone. I try not to wear too many stones when performing Reiki because that does interfere with the energy flow. But I always wear a labradorite to make sure that I'm not giving them my energy and I'm not picking up theirs either. Because if they're there for Reiki, you don't want to pick up whatever's going on in their life too. I mean, that's not ideal. I don't want to go home from a Reiki session feeling like I'm depressed because I worked on somebody who is having depression or anxiety. So yeah, grounding stones are going to be great for your cutting cords purposes. And again, those are, as we discussed before, those are your black tourmaline. I always say black tourmaline because that's one of my favorite for grounding. It's going to be tiger's eye, hematite, obsidian, onyx. Those ones are all great for grounding purposes and keeping that separation between your energy and theirs, their emotions and yours. Crystal says dry bathing as well. Yes, you can do salt. Salt is good, but make sure that if you're cleaning your stones in salt, if that's what you're talking about, Crystal, is for cleaning purposes, that you get all the salt off of your stone. And I don't recommend using clusters. I don't recommend like clusters like this guy. Don't put salt in him. There's salt going to get stuck in the cracks of him, and that's going to slowly corrode the stone. And eventually, the stone can crack, it can splinter. It's not good. So be careful with salt too, just because it can corrode your stone. But if it's like a tumbled or something, salt's a great one for it. Now, one other thing. I have this just for showing purposes. Was advertised as citrine. Now this isn't natural citrine, obviously. This is a heat-treated amethyst. So when you're purchasing stones, make sure that you research a little bit, because citrine, there's a lot of citrines out there that are just heat-treated amethyst. They have very similar properties because when you heat, basically citrine is just heat-treated amethyst naturally in the earth. But when you are man treating it, it comes off a little differently. So it's going to behave a little differently than a natural citrine would. Its powers aren't going to be as strong. So there's nothing wrong if you have citrine that is heat treated. that's just heat treated amethyst, that's fine. Right, it looks like a darkened amethyst. Yeah, this one I have just as an example, Crystal, to show people the difference. Obviously, he was left in the heat he's a little overcooked. Now, I use selenite as well for cord cutting altogether, whether I am doing Reiki or just meditating. Yes, I have selenite actually all over my sacred space. And I always end my Reiki sessions by using first I use the Palo Santo to clear their aura, okay? And then I'll take my selenite wand and just kind of rub it over their aura, and that'll help with clearing and cleansing. And with also, cutting that cord. All right, so I think if there is nothing else, it's been almost an hour, so I'm going to be finishing up here. So if you have any last minute questions you want to ask, now is the time before we end our live feed for today. I want to do it very soon, probably sometime next week, maybe even this weekend if I have time. I would like to do a live feed on how to protect yourself from EMFs, because that's a whole topic all in itself. Let's see, someone I know had an amethyst that faded even though it was in a box, not in sun. What did it get really, was she giving it attention, like any TLC or anything, Denise? Because it could have just been over time. It does need to recharge. So if it was just in a box for a while, it could have just needed some TLC from time to time. Which means it could have needed to go out in the moonlight, or it could have needed to be dusted, or even just talked to. Yeah, so if she kept it in the box, it probably needed to be put in the sunlight a little bit. Our stones, just like anything else, need to have that TLC. Hi, Janine. Thanks for joining us. We're just finishing up here, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them right now before I get off of here. Thank you for joining me, Crystal. I am happy to share all the information that I have obtained thus far. I'm glad to be here with everyone, share my knowledge. I'm just waiting to see if Janine has any questions, and then I am going to get off of here and go about the rest of my day. Oh, thank you for joining me, Denise. I was so happy to help you. If you have any more questions, feel free to just PM me, or I'll do another live feed next week where we might talk about something else. We might talk about stones again. Who knows? We'll see what the mood strikes, right? All right, so I am going to get off of here now. If Janine happens to message back with any questions, I'll answer them for her in the comments. And I will see you all next time. All right. Namaste.